Today on set we have Joshua McIntyre, a tech facilitator at the Educational Technical Center.
Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I am a tech facilitator at Beaufort EdTech, or Beaufort Educational Technical Center is what I like to say. But yeah, so and I do a little bit of coding there as well, intro to coding basics, and intro to coding. So.
Gotcha. How's everything going over there?
It's pretty sweet. We are now in our second 9 weeks, about to end the first semester and moving to the holidays. So it's flying by. I'm excited. Our kids are definitely improving and getting a little better, especially with the campus being open now. And so it's really looking on the upside.
Attendance picking up a little bit.
Attendance is picking up just a little bit, and I believe as we get closer to ending this semester, that we'll and of course, as always, because we do have the pathways programs, we'll see some students come in throughout the remainder of the semester. But I think for the most part we're open, and we've got options. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome. So back in a month or so ago, we did a Better Together PD Day, and we did a session on Breakout.
Yeah.
So since we did that, we've learned some things. So talk to us a little bit about some best practices of using Google Breakouts.
Yeah, so I believe since we did the actual training or the workshop, we've had a few things that come up. We know that Google's always changing. Google's always doing different things, and sometimes it's on the fly where we don't get information that it's changing and it just changes, and sometimes where we do get information when it's changing.
It makes it hard to keep up.
It makes it really hard to keep up. But for the most part, I think it's pretty good. But we know that some of the best practices for sure is probably wearing headphones for the audio. How many times have we gone into Google and set up a Google Breakout, whether it's the extension or Google Breakout, and we've got feedback from computers, and I think for the most part that comes from where you have students on campus who are in the same class, in the virtual same class on Google Classroom or the Google Meet, and then we have students who are at home. And so what happens is when you're on class, everybody's trying to unmute their mics and mute back and forth, and it just causes a lot of feedback. So I think for the best practice for that is for every student to have a pair of headphones on, at least as long as you're in the actual breakout. That they all have headphones on, and they and that would eliminate a lot of the feedback and schooling and screaming noises and stuff like that. So I think for the most part, yeah.
Does the teacher need the headphones as well?
I do recommend the teacher to have headphones because it's the same situation, same scenario where, the teacher's computer is pretty much a speaker and microphone, just like the students' computers are, and so that it causes that same feedback as well. And so I know for me, I have a wireless or Bluetooth headphone set, gaming headphone set that kind of works really well for me. And it's not noise cancellation, so I can hear outside of it. It's not like I put it on, I can't hear what's going on in class or anything like that. But of course, I can still hear what's going on in the classroom and still be able to hear what's going on in the breakouts as well.
Talk to us a little bit about nicknaming the Google Meets.
Yeah. So for sure, nicknaming is now the best practice. And I say always because we didn't know up until recently, but nicknaming is definitely the best practice for setting up a Google Meet, because what that does is that it really allows you to be able to have a locked classroom or a locked meet where students can't access through our portal from technology, how everything is kind of locked, where the students don't have access or admin access like the teachers do. And so if you nickname it, you don't have to worry about a student trying to access that code and get into it, that classroom, without the teacher actually being there. And so it's very important that all teachers nickname their Google Meets so that it's secure.
So when you go on a Google Meet through Google Classroom, the code that you get through Classroom, it serves as a nicknamed Google Meet. So your students cannot access.
They cannot access that. Exactly.
So when you create a new Google Meet through the extension or through the Google Meet, then you would need to make sure it's nicknamed.
Yeah. So if you use the extension, the best thing to do when you use the extension is when you start to add the groups. Actually start to add the groups. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you put a nickname in instead of a URL.
Gotcha.
It'll ask you if you want to put a URL in. And that's really what I taught when I was given the seminar on that, was to just use the URL, because it automatically makes it for you. It's easy, you can set it up, but now we know that that's not the best way to do that. And so definitely make sure you put a nickname in, and if there's a URL there, go ahead and take that URL out, set a nickname up, and then resave it. Gotcha. And then of course, if you're using Google's Breakout, then you don't have to worry about that, because Google within the Meet should already set that up for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Anything else you've encountered with Google Meets as far as the best practice?
No, for the most part, I will say that if you're reusing the same link over and over again, if you want to just set it up within your classroom. So under Google Classroom, create an assignment and then have that be, the group for whatever specific students that you want to choose. Gotcha. And then that link it's always there to go to the same students, they can get up. Of course, if you want to change it, students in those groups, then that will look differently, but for the most part, no, it's pretty good.
Gotcha.
It's pretty good.
How about using the actual breakouts in your class? How's that working, or how's the students enjoying that? Yeah, so it's working pretty good. For the most part, what I use it for is just so that they can collaborate on whatever assignment. We do use code.org. Okay. And so within using code.org, whenever I'm breaking them out, they can work together on whatever assignment that they're working on, and be able to collaborate, and and then when we come back together in the main classroom, we can see what each group did in code.org and how they solved different problems and how they did different things. And it helps me as a facilitator to be able to see exactly what the students are doing in individual groups. I prefer the extension because I'm able to be in all the groups at the same time, and so I can actually see exactly what they're doing, and so yeah. Do you think it helps with their social emotional learning as far as being able to communicate with each other?
Definitely. Because again, especially for the students who are off campus, they're home, they're not able to, other than their siblings that maybe running around in the background, but they're not able to, really have that social time with their other peers on campus. And so being able to put them in groups gives them that opportunity to be able to have, and I really recommend it for any subject, to be able to use the Google Breakout, so that students who are home can still, even though they can't physically be in the same place in the same building at one time, but they can still have that, same aspect of, what's happening on campus.
And I'm sure the smaller groups helps them feel more comfortable and more able to connect with just a couple kids in first and second class.
Well, for sure.
Anything else you would like to add?
No, I think that's pretty much the most part for Google Breakouts. It's very a vital asset in what we use in class, and I believe that every teacher should use it or something similar to that to be able to get students who are home to be able to get in a group and still be able to have that collaboration with other students.
Well, I appreciate your insight, and thank you for being on the show today.
Oh yeah.
Today our guest was Josh McIntyre from the Beaufort County Educational Technical Center. Stay tuned for the next episode of Level Up.